It's a little bit blurry. It's a little bit blurry. It's a little bit blurry. Hola. We need to talk about Scott Bessent. Let's how do I do it? I want to share my screen. How do I share the screen? Love it, bro. Jimmy, yo. I'm common sense, yo, tricky word. You people need to get work. What is it? Senku Ishigami. Konnichiwa, ryokozo. How do I share my screen? This is impromptu. Can you even hear? Let's do the old 2025 live dance. Can you hear me? Yeah, all good. Click on screen share. Okay, where's that? Where is on screen share? Got to make sure I don't have my Grinder account open with Nick Fuentes. Where's share screen? Pop out dashboard. Hey, this is fun. Okay, that's from my shitty little local webcam. I'm impressed. Now you can see my double chin. That's no good. Oh, what will my hairdresser say? For America, free the world. Okay, how do I share a screen? I don't know. You said share screen? Live. This is not good. I wanted to show you Scott Bessent. Can I do that? What software? I'm just doing the webcam. I'm not using OBS. This is impromptu. I might just end it because I have no idea. I haven't used this before. No, I have no idea. Expand menu. Greetings from the Middle East, Prince Leo. Yeah. How do I show my screen? Does anyone know how to show the screen? Webcam. No, sorry, no one knows because I can't see no share screen button. Your channel, YouTube, switch account, sign out, feedback. No, this has been a waste of time, isn't it? Well, I guess it's not a waste of time. I guess I will learn how to do a live stream. Well, the only way is to end the live stream and just start again and delete it and use OBS. But I like this NVIDIA broadcast because it gives me a nice background and actually makes the video look better. The webcam's a piece of crap. Someone said there's a button to share screen through the net. Yeah, I know how to do it via OBS, but what's this? Switch to full screen max window. He did, yeah. Blame the Jews, evil Jews. They made me feel sick from margaritas too. Those evil Jews. How dare they? What's this? Share screen. Okay. Select window or screen. Okay. What's this? Mute website notifications while sharing. Okay. Allow. Okay, I think yep. All right. Let's go here. Here we go. You ready? Here we go. Scott Bessent announces sanctions against financiers of Sinaloa drug cartel. Oh, wow, everyone. What's the 401k plan's going to do? Let's have a quick listen. Actually, Scott, that is untrue. The Sinaloa cartel was actually pretty well behaved considering they looked after their people. And since you busted him, you and your friends, I presume because he wouldn't put his money in your bank accounts or something, it's now been ultraviolet with was it Huasca New Generation or whatever, who were all killed recently. A big bunch of them were killed in Querétaro, where I used to live, in the pub about 4 months ago. So I wrote, what about Americans' 401k plan totally dependent on liquid drug money flooding in? Some of us remember Dope Inc., Barry Seal, Clinton and Bush's, Mina, Arkansas, Iran-Contra, and Gary Webb, the greatest drug dealers of all, are close friends of Forbes, Benjamin Milikowski, Sans Netanyahu. The biggest drug dealers are the Russian-Israeli drug dealers, of course. But let's blame Mexico. Fair enough. Thank you, sir. I appreciate all you do for your country. You mean Scott Bessent? You mean the guy, Scott here, this guy, the fund manager, the Soros fund manager, who and his friends in 2008 stole $5 trillion from the US taxpayer. So now they've got Fox News run by globalist Rupert Murdoch, you know, good friends with Heinz Kissinger and Lord Jacob Rothschild. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd vote for Trump, but I'd still realize he's a piece of garbage, as they all are. But while everyone's cheering those horrible brown people they're throwing back across the border, which were invited in by good old Democrat Biden and Wall Street, as Steve Bannon said, Wall Street invited them all in because they wanted to drive down wages and have a slave labor class. So by all means, apply your law, but don't cheer as you throw them all back. You're going to throw back a few tattooed up cartel members to make yourselves feel better, but the millions more will stay because they need the slave labor to run the factories. And that's fine. That's your choice, America. You apply your law, but I'm just saying you shouldn't be happy about it. But meanwhile, the men in suits, the Frankfurt School commies in suits like Scott Bessent, the Soros fund manager, you know, the Open Societies guy, the sworn enemy of America, that guy is now cheering on. He's going to take on the Sinaloa drug cartel, who are all run out of the United States, Israel, and Russia. Thank you very much. You need to tell this clown and all these other clowns, just do your job, shut your mouth, get rid of Musk, and start doing your job. Let's ask where all the money went from the Pentagon budget, which Musk is never going to touch. Now he's investigating the CIA. Oh yeah, but they're quaking in their boots down at Langley because here comes Musk, the biggest fraud to ever walk the earth. I mean, it's a joke. They're insulting our intelligence, and Americans, I'm asking you to go out. The Trump tards are onto this. Get out there and tell Trump, you pull your head in with this clown show. Just do your job. Put that 25,000 man United States Marine Corps base in Gaza, apologize to the entire Arab world, and stop killing Muslims and Arabs in general in the Middle East. How about that? Get your boy, dog, Netanyahu under control, Mr. Milikowski, and fix the problem. And stop with this game, this bullshit game they're all playing, because that's what it is, a bullshit game. $5 trillion US was stolen from the US taxpayer, which taxpayers will be paying. You're paying for it now with this little act with Doge. What's he cleaned up? $25 billion? Drop in the ocean. They pissed that against the wall on a weekend of drugs and hookers down at the Pentagon, but he won't be touching that one. Right, a snowball's chance, because then he finds Ari Emanuel's friends, you know, the Emanuel brothers, Rahm Emanuel, Obama's chief of staff. His brother runs the UFC and World Wrestling Federation and is Trump's agent, Ari Emanuel. Not going to hear that mentioned by anyone. Those boys, Israeli intelligence outfit, because all the drug money went out of the Pentagon and went straight into Israel and the city of London, and it's funding the Chinese expansion along the Belt and Road. So I'd like to know when that clown, that disgusting, retarded clown, Musk, the fraud, the biggest fraudster of all, Department of Defense fraudster, is going to look into that. So may I suggest you get rid of Musk, stop taking your very trusting MAGA faithful for a ride, because they ain't buying it either. And no matter how many Fox News bullshit you put up there pushing Musk as a genius, is not going to take over the fact he's an ultra globalist. As Steve Bannon said, he's an ultra globalist. At least Bannon's honest. He says, yeah, we'll take his money, but is $270 million enough? What happens is Trump has promised the Trump pigs, the MAGA pigs, who are going to try and make as much money as possible over the next 4 years. They promised them billions when they re-engage with China via Tesla. They might save Tesla. It's worth saving. So they'll re-engage with China, and he's promised them billions. That's why they keep pushing him, even though JD Vance, that's not artificial intelligence. That was a real recording of JD Vance saying, get rid of this clown. That was a real recording. Hegseth, clown. Tulsi Gabbard, clown, young global leader, for crying out loud. Do we all forget? Do we all not remember Barry Seal, Iran-Contra, Mina, Arkansas? All this drug money, but you're going to get some Mexicans. Make yourselves feel better. They are the employees. Yeah. Anyway. The drug trade should bypass Mexico straight from Colombia to USA, and it just might happen that way. I think we can all agree now that the clown show has gone on long enough. Surely 3 months is enough. The drug trade is run out of the United States and the City of London and the elite EU banking. All right, they run the drug trade. I'm just wondering when we're ever going to talk about that. I hope everyone feels better. You broke up the Sinaloa cartel. Now Sinaloa's in total chaos. I hope you're happy, but that seems to be the game. At least Mexicans do remember Obama and Fast and Furious. They know all about that. They don't know what the NSA is. They've never heard of the NSA. They know what the CIA is, but they've kept deliberately dumb and stupid down here. They have no idea how it all works, really. There are some. There's a big channel did a big expose of Israel recently. But at least if you're going to deal drugs, try and keep the money in your own country. Maybe that will help, but that will definitely end it, because that money's got to flood up into Wall Street to keep Scott Bessent's friends happy, the Soros fund managers happy, the Open Society people happy. And you know who's a big fan of George Soros down here in Mexico, don't you? Makes sense, because City of London also Red Mafia. That is correct. You're a Perth legend. You're too kind. And what's Gouffre? Miss Gouffre, who lives in Ocean Reef. I know that area well. That's where I was born and bred. Well, I lived. I was born in a country town. But that's Whitford's Ocean Reef. Very expensive real estate now. And wow, now it used to be cheap. It was all sand dunes. I remember as a kid, we used to go up there, grow mole plants and marijuana plants and go surfing off Queen's Rocks. It was all bush. Now it's multi-million-dollar houses. And Virginia Gouffre's apparently been run off the road by a big bus. She claims her kidneys are failing, and she's in a hospital. I presume she's in Perth, Western Australia, which means she will be in Sir Charles Gardner Hospital, G74 ward, urology, perhaps run by Delilah Guy, my first nurse manager. Delilah, she was a great nurse manager. She was fantastic. Do you like the bikies? No, they're all full of shit now. I like the old school bikies who were all raised in Catholic orphanages and traumatized, or come out of Vietnam or the Second World War, and they're all in their 70s now. And in nursing homes, and now they're all private school kids with pretend tattoos, Harley's optional, driving Ferraris, working for the police. So no, I have no love of the modern day bikies. They're a bunch of shitty sellouts, basically. The old, I shouldn't romanticize the old guard, but at least they'd had tough freaking lives. Now they're all private school kids, like that rat McCanty who's worked for the police his entire career. He's a Mason. He had sex with a goat on camera. You don't know about that. I know all the gossip of my hometown, Perth, Western Australia. I see they're putting up big billboards in Perth, Western Australia that time. What university did I go to again? That was Edith Cowan University, Churchland's campus. It's all gone now. Yeah, WA is full of South Africans, Jews who ran away. That is correct. Will UK have the same fate as Canada? Yeah, the US is not joining the UK. The UK is joining the US. It's the other way around. Kissinger is hanging with Satan, like with Saddam Hussein. I've run the Hells Angels and the Outlaws. He's telling the truth. They turned on us. Look, they're all the old bikies are gone. They're either dead, they're in the ground, they're in jail, they're in nursing homes. Now, if the bikie, you know who the real bikies are, they're all in jail, because all the rest work for the cops. They've always been run by the cops. The cops are the biggest bikies, the blue bikies, as we call them in Perth. There's great coppers. I've met some wonderful coppers, and they've just all gotten out because it's just so corrupt. Perth is so corrupt. They deal the drugs. The cops deal the drugs. You had the head of the Australian Federal Police. The head, that's the Customs Border Control, and the Australian Federal Police are the same. And the head was on 60 Minutes, 3 years ago, and I can't find it, where he said, we can't stop the drugs because too many of my staff are corrupt. That is the head, that's like the head of the FBI saying, I can't stop the drugs because my FBI staff are corrupt. I mean, you can't get any more honest than that. Police deal the drugs for Wall Street, City of London, for the bankers. All right. You want to blame the bikies or the Mexican cartels? They are all employees of the same system. Kay Griggs told us that years ago. You know, I got Roger Reeves' book published. That was Pablo Escobar's top transporter. He modernized the entire Medellin cartel's transport. So they're absolute gentlemen. You did your job. They didn't just kill you for no random reason. You did it because you were a rat, or you did something very bad, or you stole from them. I never feared them ever. They were gentlemen. They were business managers. Now it's just total chaos, which is the way they like it, because now it's run by the Red Mafia. It's run by the Israeli-Russian mob. with a good dose of the Lebanese here down in Mexico, who, of course, all those pious Muslims, Hezbollah and Hamas, are running all these drugs. That's how they pay for the weapons, and it's all run by guess who? City of London, Likud, Benjamin Netanyahu. They run Hamas, they run Hezbollah. Islamic terror is a total creation of the City of London. Total. They run it through their Saudis. They killed the great King Faisal off in 75. Then they got rid of the Shah out of Iran in 79 and replaced it with their proxies. Now they put all their money in the right bank accounts and do as they're told. That's how the system works. The blue bikie. Sup, Brendon, what do you think about Len Pen barred from elections? I find it ridiculous. Doesn't matter whether you like them or not. But I assure you they are run by the City of London. It's all a big show. They're all run. If there's a highly organized wealthy group, it's them every time. Look at all these Arab, Muslim activists getting that guy they just busted and they're going to deport him. It's all a show. They all work for the City of London. They all work for Israel. Israel runs them all. Don't you think if these Islam or these Muslim activists and the pro-Palestinians were real, they would say, Chris Boleyn, Israel did 9/11. Let's talk about it. They never say my name. They won't say Sufyan's name. Mary is talking to that Habiba, what's her name? So they're talking now. If you want to see the difference between a real article on Israel and high technology and Russian cooperation, read Sufyan's. Still a good article she wrote, mind you. It is very informative, but it's as deep as a puddle. Come on, we need the full truth. Not one of these Muslim activists, pro-Palestinian activists, is real. They all work for Israel. Because if they were real, they would say, Israel did 9/11. Let's talk about ICTS out of the Netherlands. You know where the drug trade comes out of the Netherlands, Amsterdam, the ecstasy trade? Fancy that the biggest here. Well, can I share the screen? Let's share the screen. Let's get this up. Let's share the screen. Let's go where? Well, that's what she wrote. What's her name again? By Habiba Hamid. It's very good. Don't get me wrong. It's very good. But it's nothing compared to what Sufyan wrote in his book. Nothing. Let's get up. Remember Chris Boleyn? I've been listening to all this stuff again. It's gold. ICTS International, based in Amsterdam, started by the Shin Bet, is a Dutch firm that develops products, provides consulting and personal services in the field of aviation and general security. It was established in 1982 by former members of the Shin Bet, Israel's internal security agency, and LL Airline Security Agents. The company shares are traded on OConnell. They were running 9/11. What else also comes out of Amsterdam? The drug trade comes out of Amsterdam. What else came out of Amsterdam? All the Portuguese and Spanish Jews running what? The slave trade comes out of Amsterdam. What else comes out of Amsterdam? What else, everyone? You've heard of ASML. This is my next video project. I'm writing it up now. ASML in Amsterdam. These make the incredible machines that allow Taiwan Semiconductor, the world's supplier to the semiconductor industry, also in Amsterdam, and it's all US technology, all of it. All of it is US technology, every last drop. Let me go here. Technology transfers, Boeing exposed. Is it this one? Yeah, did a brilliant post. I rewrote this post and they reset the page reloaded, and I lost it all. I wrote this one. Let's share the page, shall we? Where are we? Let's share the page again. Allow. Putin will use it because Trump wants him to. Yeah, they're doing a great job here. All the court Jews when Scotland was Jewish. There's all the right people there. The Eurasian Economic Union. There's the Israel and Iran both set to join Russia-led free trade zone. Make the links if you come to my Patreon. You'll work it all out. Primakov Doctrine. There's Kissinger with Evgeny Primakov. Their boy Putin, which no one wants to talk about. Scott Ritter doesn't want to talk about. Then you have ASML. Then you have the ecstasy trade, Dutch role in slavery, Professor Tony Martin. I'm doing a big new post on this. I'm just writing out the script and to make it all happen. And we go down to my God, I hit the trifecta, and they're all out of Portuguese, Spanish, Jews out of Amsterdam. And you begin to see how you have ICTS, which is all Berlin's work. Do you seriously think these pro-Palestinian protesters are real? Human rights, UN Security Council. Well, it's all bullshit, all right? They're containing the narrative instead of just saying, hey, Israel did 9/11. Why don't Hamas and Hezbollah come and tell you all about it? Why is it I'm in Beirut with Sufyan and we're talking to Professor Wakim of the University of Beirut, and I said, why don't you talk about all this stuff? And he goes, yeah, you're probably right. I said, you've got to expose Israel and national security. We'll read the article I wrote with Sufyan when I was in Beirut in 2020. And then I'm on just before that, I was on freaking Al Mayadeen, which is the Hezbollah channel, talking about the Telpiot program. You never hear them open their mouths. They're all run and controlled by Israel. Every last one of them. And I don't know how to convince you. Christopher Below Michael Collins Piper interviews are good. That is correct. Although Michael Collins Piper is a bit of a freaking Nazi in the true sense of the word. I was surprised some of his rhetoric. But, you know, I was meant to go and hang out with Ken O'Keefe and in Tehran at the conferences with what's his name, out of Idaho, where Piper died. Michael Collins Piper died. I've forgotten his damn name. Mark Glenn. We were meant to share a room, and then they said Mark Glenn was a spy. They said, we're not letting you in, we think you're a spy. And Mark Glenn, after all the work he did, the letters from then President Michael Ahmadinejad, that was 2014. Then the planes went down, the two Malaysian airliners. I was on my way to Malaysia. Yeah, I'm going to tell you that right now. That was linked to me. Yes, Malaysian airliners going down were linked to me going to Malaysia. That is correct. And I'm not joking. You don't know the half of it, what went on. Where's the Sufyan transcript? I'll show you in a second. Industrial Zionism, I will show you. Give me 1 second. Where is it? An important video. Where are you, Sufyan? Israel Russian technology transfers, Boeing being exposed. This is the one. Actually, this is fun. I should do more of these. Maybe I won't throw the computer at the wall and call you all nasty names. Oh, not yet, wrong one. What do I want to do there? Okay, the great Bill Cooper. So I did a little video from my bed because I was extremely peeved off with this solar eclipse in Aries and Neptune. Habiba Hamid has written a little collection of references to Israel and Russian tech. Wow, look, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. There's a link to it if you don't have it. Russian Israeli tech cooperation goes very deep. That's from Arthur Bloom, but it's not that deep. I don't mean to be negative, but I've been at this for 15 plus years. So imagine how tired I am. I'm 54. I'm sitting here in Mexico. Yeah, I've got plenty of money, but more than enough money to live. My bank account's empty now because I just spent 20 grand over 2 years setting up my solar and everything. Now I had to leave. You know why? So there's me and Sufyan in Beirut. That is Sufyan's book, Industrial Zionism, all about Kissinger. Industrial Zionism, Espionage, Deception, and Interstitial Compromise. There's the link. I will open this to the public if I haven't, but I prefer this little briefing document. This is what we wrote in Beirut from that room. We were just right near where the big explosion took place. I actually saw that street, that footage. I stayed where some steps that leads up to a Baader Meinhof German. There are a bunch of Germans. They're all added to the old Baader Meinhof group. I stayed there initially. Good people. They're all commies. They're right there in Beirut. But let's listen to this. You ready? This briefing document is better. So you can go and read her stuff, which is, don't get me wrong, it's very current and very precise. But you need the big picture more than you need those details. So briefing document, Israeli high technology and espionage, ramifications of Israeli domination of cyber technology in the age of AI and its relationship to Russia and China, how it can be exploited by the Arab world for political leverage. Hello. This is from 2020, February. We wrote this in Beirut, 2020. Israeli domination of the world's high technology sector is little known and little understood. We go into all these examples of stuff that Israel is a high technology juggernaut, but they are cooperating with Russia and China and backdooring the United States. Let's just go to the conclusion. This information can be, imagine this. Now I know all the pro-Palestinian movement is completely fraudulent and they are completely in bed with Israel. They are run by Israel, just like Hamas is run by Israel, Hezbollah is run by Israel. They run the whole Islamic terror networks, are MI6 or elements of MI6, City of London, Rothschild. That's why the Ayatollah in 79 came out of a Paris commune, right? That's why Rouhani and Zarif were all training in England, hanging with Jack Straw and Lord Levi. I've said it 1,000 times at Scottish universities and the Jews of Scotland. This information can be leveraged in a media and political lobbying campaign. There is already CIA and military agitation on this issue. There is a growing community of US intelligence officers that recognize the dangers ahead. Former counterintelligence officer Philip Zeraldi, CIA analyst Ray McGovern, former US Army War College Director of Studies Dr. Alan Tabrowski, FBI translator Sybil Edmonds come to mind. We, the authors of this brief, well, me and Sufyan, suggest urgent dialogue. This is 5 years ago. Urgent dialogue begin on this issue, specifically addressing deeper and more detailed research by suitably qualified academics in the relevant field, information technology, cybersecurity, electronic hardware manufacturer, national security, and political science specialists. We have cited less well-known issues that are affecting the Middle East and Arab-Israeli relations in this small brief. This lack of debate brings an incomplete understanding of current issues. This leads to a poor formal and informal policy decisions and strategies that never address the central issue of Israel and its role as a cyber technology juggernaut with potential fourth industrial revolution leadership of the emerging global new world order over and above even the United States. Israel's well-documented espionage against the United States and close relationship with economic and military rivals to the United States should be easily leveraged by the Arab world against Israel. Statements such as Israel's violation of basic human rights, where's my spicy pumpkin lala? Where, human rights, that is where they put it. You've got to understand, they deliberately contain the issue in that. It's all run. Where do you think the UN is based? Right with the World Economic Forum, Basel, Switzerland. All right, with the Bank of International Settlements, Klaus Schwab's friends, the Frankfurt schoolboys, Heinz Kissinger, all his friends. Statements such as Israel's violation of basic human rights, violation of international law, and direct attacks on Palestinian infrastructure. This is 2020, people. Hold little sway in the corridors of power in the US State Department and Pentagon, CIA, and NSA. But statements such as Israel is stealing US high technology products and selling on to Russia and China do get the immediate attention of powerful US interest statements that, quote, Israel is stealing my money, intellectual property, end quote, get the attention of powerful US establishment interests. Statements that Israel has placed backdoors in central US-based companies' hardware and software get the attention of powerful interests. And finally, in the emerging Internet of Things and AI New World Order, statements that Israel is seeking worldwide dominance in this area gets the attention of powerful US interests. Israel is a cyber technology power. It has subverted completely the United States high technology industry and military industrial complex. The largest of the US high technology companies are moving the most sensitive R&D centers to Israel. It is a hostile foreign power to the United States. It coordinates false flag attacks upon the United States to blame on the Arab Muslim world. Israel is a clear and present danger to the United States and the world in general. It is a self-evident approach of sympathy to the Arab-Palestinian world, and its issues only go so far in relatively small grassroots specialist circles, and that's why they keep it there. A more cold and clinical approach along the lines of economic and national security self-interest must be expanded upon and adopted to counter Israeli expansionism and the setting up of Greater Israel and the destruction of Arab resistance to Israeli hegemony in the region. Sufyan, master student, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, and Brendon Lee OConnell, chief shitstirrer from Oz. Ladies and gentlemen, does that make sense to you? That's from 2020. Been at this 15 plus long years, longer, since 95 when Yitzhak Rabin, who gave me a lot of information. It was Israeli Jews who gave me the information. Where's all the best information on this? The Israeli press. That's the irony. Israel, many stand with us. They've contacted me over the years. We have got to get this dialogue. We understand Israel, Likud, City of London runs the entire Islamic terror network. They run all these Palestinian activists. They're all full of shit because if they were real, they would go straight to Chris Boleyn. Israel did 9/11. We would then coerce that, combine it also with the fact that many Israeli Jews are quietly assisting. Daniel Lewin was a US intelligence asset. That's why he was killed by the Likud teams. America has a lot of Israeli/Jews in there with the pretend Russian Jews. Remember those articles? We can all just get together. Maybe Mel Gibson, in between his coke binges with Oliver Stone, can come together and organize conferences on this issue. We can talk multipolar world order. I mean, the mooch is talking about the multipolar world order. We're just waiting for the rest of the people. All right, it's ready. Do I really have to wait 8 months for a interview for a tourist visa? 8 months? Okay. Hello, everyone. Lewis Shav, I'm so glad I found you. I'm so glad you did. Send me money. Hannibal Directive Order, PSYOP 7, whatever. I'm from Perth, Brendon. All right, Lewis. Beautiful sunset. I miss a lot. I had a good life in Perth, you know. Miss a lot, but Australia's gone to the dogs. Maybe it can be rescued. I see that guy's running around. What's his name? I've forgotten his name. Matt Parnell sent me that. He's doing big posters. But you need to understand that Western Australia with the South African Jews, they're all the Likud fans. They're all the drug dealers out of South Africa. They're all friends of Netanyahu. They're all over there in Western Australia. They're hiding out in Western Australia. Western Australia is a huge hideout for them. It's literally like another Israeli base down there. Thoughts on UK government PDF filing? Don't know. Do you curse or bless Israel? I curse. I love Israel. I pray for Israel. My knees are so sore from praying for Israel and a US Marine Corps gigantic military base to go into Gaza. I pray for that base every day. I'll tell you who Israel is. Us. I'm an Israelite. Does your heart burn for justice? Does your heart burn for justice? You can't stand the lies. You're the Israel. The Holy Land is the United States. Thanks very much. Ask your questions again in French. Yes, the UK economy will do better because it'll still be getting all the Saudi bank money shoved in there. All right, that's about it. I hope this was very impromptu. I'm working on my script now. I don't know if I can share the screen, can I? I'm going to show you the penetration of Boeing and all these other contractors. We'll show you ICTS, all in Amsterdam. Amazing, all in Amsterdam. The ecstasy rings, ICTS doing all the world's airport security. They're running drugs. They're probably running Jensen from from Nvidia. All the they're probably shipping via the shipping company, Zim Shipping, and via the airport. They're running through all the graphics cards. There's no game mode. No one who likes playing games can get a graphics card now. That's why Jensen put the new Nvidia 5090 with 32 gig of RAM for the AI stuff. He's selling them all to China. So how's he getting all that through customs? That's the ring, and they're all in Amsterdam for crying out loud. ICTS, drug trade, slave trade, you name it. They're down here in Mexico and they're running the whole show. But Scott Bessent is going to save everyone from those horrible Sinaloa cartel. Let me tell you, America, the barbarians are inside the gates. They're well and truly in there. They're in suits. And unfortunately, Donald Trump is totally surrounded by them. And that's not very good. Let's talk Ari Emanuel. Let's talk Rahm Emanuel, USC, World Wrestling Federation. Let's talk about that, shall we? Let's talk about that. Okay, we'll talk again soon.